You're watching Global Trade This Week with Pete Mento and Doug Draper.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Global Trade This Week. My name is Doug Draper, and I am awesome and excited to be back from a little vacation last week. But more importantly is my partner in crime, Mr. Pete Mento, who has an amazing looking shirt on, and I'm kind of not even sure where he is as of today. So, Pete, first of all, good to see you again.
Good to see you too, buddy.
Tell us about your shirt there, and where does this podcast find you?
Well, today I'm in our Boston office, DSV's Boston office, which is not actually in Boston. It's in East Boston, which is an entirely different town. But yeah, right by the airport, Logan Airport. Got some meetings today with clients here in the branch. And I went to the Red Sox game yesterday where they won their 10th in a row. It was wonderful. So it was a good weekend. So my daughter went and saw Superman. I cannot recommend it. I know you weren't going to watch it anyway, buddy, but for those of us out there that are comic book guys, I cannot recommend that movie. It really let me down.
Hey, Pete, let's rewind in time here. When I got married eons ago, we flew into Boston for our honeymoon, and we went up to Bahama, and it was right during the Big Dig when they were dropping everything underground, and there was some controversy with the contractor, and there was water leaking and all that kind of stuff. I'm assuming all that was taken care of, but was there any more than just a couple of leaks and go do some patch repair or what?
Doug, you trying to get me shot talking about the Big Dig and the contractors and how mobbed up it was? Because they'll find me, buried next to Jimmy Hoffa. No, it's all done. The Big Dig's done. The problem we have with the Big Dig is traffic grew faster than the relief of the Big Dig. So it's helped. It's nice. There's parts of it that are really great, but this city's just grown so much. It's like Denver. You can't. The construction projects didn't have in mind that we were going to have so many more people here. But I do miss it. I miss Boston. I miss living here.
The big project in Denver years ago. Yeah, nice. Yeah, the big thing in Denver was T-Rex. That was opening up the south side of Denver. And the second, it was, 3 years. And the second it was done, they're like, well, it's not big enough. So totally get that. But anyway, we're not here to talk about road construction, Pete. We're here to talk about global trade, specifically this week. So why don't you get us started, man? You got some good topics. I want to hear them and make some comments.
Yeah. So right now in Washington, it feels like the United Nations, like there's a general assembly. There's so many people that have come in to negotiate trade deals. So India is in DC, Mexico, Canada, Europe's in DC, Japan will be coming this week, Korea will be coming this week. And it's really in the face of these tariffs going wild on August the 1st. So you're just seeing this Negotiation-Palooza happening right now, which leads most people who follow this to believe that these are really just threats. These massive tariffs of 30 some odd, 50 some odd percent are really just threats. And the intention is to get them to a much lower degree, where the president has said he wants them to be between 10 and 20%, depending on the country. So we should start seeing some news about some of these countries because we're running out of time. August the 1st is fast approaching, and we only have so much time to really negotiate a new deal. The ones that are likely to be announced this week are certainly India, who I guess is very close. And then we could get something about Canada and Mexico, which would really make people feel a lot more comfortable and confident about what's going on with trade. Because right now, you wake up every day and it's changed, does a 180. It's almost like Washington's trying to kill me right now with all the changes that are being made. So Negotiation-Palooza, is this really a negotiation tactic, or is the president serious about these 30, 40, 50% tariffs?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because it jives well with my topic. So I'm just going to answer and comment and then reply with some things. But yeah, it's almost like the process is more important than the outcome, right? It's here's what's going to happen, and I guess that's what you do in negotiations. You shoot high and you work your way down a little bit. But I heard this the other day, Pete, the uncertainty tax, the metaphor of the uncertainty is as damaging as knowing what the heck is going to happen. You just can't strategize with uncertainty, and like you said, who knows? August 1st may come and come and go, and it'll get kicked out to January 1st or September 1st or whatever. So I'm just getting a vibe that people are starting to not believe deadlines. I think
Yeah.
companies are starting to say we have to make decisions for the best of our company, regardless of the lack of information. Because if we're waiting for information and closure, it just doesn't seem to be happening. And so the uncertainty tax of what's transpiring, I think, is going to become to the forefront, and we're going to hear more about that. But I think personally, Pete, to your point, throw a number out there, send a letter in the mail, and hope the postage is the right amount to get to another country, and then make a post on social media, and see what falls out. So it's going to be a very interesting and busy July, for sure.
It is. People have this irrational idea that I know what the hell I'm talking about, and I generally I don't. Right? I'm just reading the tea leaves and talking to people, and that uncertainty tax is a great way to put it, Doug. You have clients that are either importing or clients of mine that are exporters overseas. And they're saying we can't make long-term decisions. So what we end up doing is we just go high. We think of the worst possible outcome and we start with that number because it's easier for us to walk it back 6 months from now than to end up in a position where our profit margin is just shot because we didn't have what we needed to get it done. So that uncertainty tax is driving huge decisions by importers and exporters, huge decisions by ocean carriers about what kind of volume are we really going to see. And I hate giving them credit, but I'm going to do it again. They've done a very good job of positioning themselves for change and end up making pretty good money when that change happens. So I have been watching them a little closer as a bellwether for what's actually going to happen. But that uncertainty tax, Doug, it's wrecking the global economy. It's bringing so much uncertainty that you're starting to see people not order things, not buy them to bring them into the country to put them on shelves, and saying we're just going to wait because we can't take the worst case scenario, build it into our model, and expect to make money with these imports. It's a really scary time, Doug.
Yeah, yeah. The wait and see model. You and I spoke about this, gosh, back during in April when all this started. Liberation Day, I think it was April 5th, April 6th.
Yep.
Can't remember what
Yep.
that was, but we talked about how people are going to wait. Let's just wait and see how things settle out. Nothing settled out. You can only wait so long, and certain companies are. I mean, I truly believe that smaller companies, being up in a small remote town up in Colorado, people are like, it's not worth it. I'm just shutting it down. Now, large companies aren't necessarily going to do that, but to your point, I had not thought of the idea of just shoot as high as we possibly can with the contracts we have with our manufacturers and customers, and it's easier to come down. I don't know. Something's got to give, and the uncertainty at some point is you can't wait forever. You got to make some decisions. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I think.
what point did
Anything else on that one, Pete?
At what point do Chinese manufacturers just say we're out? When a Foxconn maybe says we're just going to stop manufacturing in China and we're going to move it to Mexico because that seems like a more predictable model than what we've got going on right now. And is that really what Washington wanted? That uncertainty to drive decisions to move production. It's not coming back here, but it might come to a friend shoring opportunity for one of these other countries that we have a better political relationship with. It's only been what 4 months. These 4 months have just been hell for importers with all this lack of certainty. It's been awful.
Yeah. Do you think there's companies, Pete? This just popped in my mind, and obviously you're well versed. Do you think companies are going to be like, you know what? I'm just going to downsize my operation, and I'm not talking about U.S. companies. I'm talking to your point about factories in China. Be like, you know what? We're just going to focus on the rest of the world, and until things settle down in the United States, we're just not going to sell to them, and we'll cut our staff by X%, and we'll sell to the rest of the world. Do you think that type of mindset's out there with some of the factories?
Yeah, that's the rhetoric, Doug. Out of China is we don't need to sell to America. We'll take our profits and sell to the rest of the world and right size the business so that we can do that. And when things change, we'll be here and ready for it. It's America that will suffer, is their opinion, because they're paying more for production of things around the world. So we'll just do whatever we have to do to remain healthy, and that might mean focusing on Europe, focusing on the rest of the pack in Asia, Indian subcontinent, and not being so focused on providing these goods for American consumers. So the question is, Doug, are American consumers going to start
Mhm.
buying less too? If that's the case, then it was a really good bet. But I don't know. We love to buy crap, Doug. It's going to be hard for me to sign off on that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think your kid needs $30, maybe three, right? I think that
Isn't that the line?
something.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Do you
anyway,
need 20 pairs of Air Jordans? Like that's the other line, right? Yeah. So, well, that brings us
yeah,
in a hard
yeah.
hitting double team first two topics. To I'm very excited for halftime this week because Doug has stumbled across something that I'm very energized and excited about. So, Doug, why don't you go first because you have a kick-ass topic?
All right, cool. Well, this came to light probably 2 weeks ago, and I'm talking about the Savannah bananas, also known as banana ball, right?
Yeah.
It's sweeping across the country. So, for listeners that may not be familiar with what the Savannah bananas are, right? So, they were this baseball team in Savannah, Georgia. And I did a little research. They were part of the Collegiate Summer Coastal Plains League, right? Like, that's a juggernaut. And this guy named Jesse Cole bought them. And he basically said, we got to get butts in the seats. And so we're going to flip this thing and we're going to make sure that it's fan friendly and it's all about entertainment. And this guy's shtick is he's got like a bright yellow full tux with tails that he runs around with. So anyway, it's morphed. And so that's the origin story, Pete. And you know this. So I'm just going to fast forward to what it is right now. The easiest way to explain to our audience is that think of the Harlem Globetrotters playing the Washington Generals, but it's a four-team league that they've created, right? So I think it's the firefighters, the party animals, and that's it. Firefighters, bananas, party animals, and they're basically a world tour, right? So they got these four teams. They're going all over the country, and they're doing these kind of exhibition games, and they are selling out major league stadiums. They were at Fenway a couple weeks ago, sold it
Yep.
out, sold out Fenway. They were at Nationals Park out of DC, couple years, sold it out. They're coming to Coors Field, I think in mid-August, sold out. There's 50,000 people there, right? And so it's a hybrid of entertainment. So here's a couple of things, Pete, just to have our audience give perspective. So the game is 2 hours. It's a clock, and it just counts down. They don't do innings or runs. They do points. And if the batter can't leave the batter box, right? He can't step out. If they hit a foul ball and somebody in the stands catches it, it's determined as an out,
Yeah.
right? I saw a guy whenever they were playing. I think it was in Fenway. The dude rolled up in stilts. He had stilts on, and he was swinging the bat. They had a guy in the outfield mic'd up, not after the play or before the play, like literally while he was playing ball, and he had to stop. And he did a backflip and caught it barehanded. And it's amazing. I've watched it. It's on ESPN Saturday night, 7 p.m. local time, wherever they are, and they're just crushing it. I mean, I haven't sat down and watched a baseball game or banana ball in years, right? And there I am with some friends, and we're cooking hamburgers and hot dogs and got some beers, and we're watching 2 hours of baseball and laughing. Last thing I'll say, Pete, is there was a race that they had um, where they had two moms that went. They had to run the bases. So home plate to first base was a sprint. First base to second base, they grabbed like a target bag. So now they're carrying a target bag. From second base to third base, they grabbed a cup full of iced tea with one of the straws, and then on third base to home plate, they had their kid jump on their back, and they are running with their child on their back, a grocery bag, and a cup of tea. I mean, just crazy stuff like that. The audience, the spectators, and they go crazy. I mean, it
Yeah.
is phenomenal, right? I'm having so much fun watching it. So I know you know about it. So what some are your takes on it?
Well, I've been called a baseball poet before. Like, I love the romanticization of the game. I love baseball. I was at Fenway yesterday, sold out crowd, just, elbow to elbow, people everywhere. They won their 10th in a row. It was nothing apparently compared to the crowd for the Banana Ball, for the Savannah Bananas game. So I guess that they sold another 3,500 standing room seats than they sold for yesterday's sold out game. I can't imagine that many people at Fenway. And if you wanted to buy tickets on the secondary market, you were paying 300% more than face value, because people bring their families, they bring their kids, and the kids can sit there for 2 hours and watch a highly entertaining. Is it baseball? Sorta. Right? Is it like the Harlem Globetrotters? Kinda. But what I think they've done is they've seen what people want to see, especially little kids, and it's really created this grassroots movement of people who want to go watch Banana Ball. They play at the football stadium in Clemson and sell it out. I want to say it was 100,000 people, Doug, that came to a baseball game. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
The guy who owns it has people with video cameras walking through the crowd, and he's gauging the response to the stunts. So the guy, doing a flip and catching the ball is like, wow, that really went over well. Let's put more of that in the show. Or they love the race that we just did. Let's make sure we do something like that again. So he's learning from the crowd's reaction to things and building off of that, because he wants people to come to more than one game. He wants them to come to another game and be equally entertained. So you got to keep changing the script. One thing I really love about it, Doug, is they bring in these old time and all stars. So here in Boston, they had Johnny Damon throw out a pitch. They had Bill Spaceman Lee throw out a pitch. These are beloved Boston Red Sox. And for people to see them come out, and the pitch was live, it counted. It counted for the game. And they had these guys come in. The fact that they're looking at the rules of what, I will admit, as much as I love it, is kind of a stodgy game, but they're still making it so much fun. And anything you can do to get kids in 2025 to want to watch a live sporting event instead of playing their Xbox, I am 100% in for. So one more thing I'll say about the Banana Ball games. It was widely reported that there were no lines for beer. If you wanted to go get a beer at Fenway, you could just walk right up and order one. But if you wanted popcorn, or you wanted a soda or a lemonade, you'd be waiting a while because there were so many kids there. And the lines for the men's rooms were very short, but the lines for the ladies' rooms were insane because so many moms had come and they brought so many kids. Doug, I love it. And there are a few business owners in America that I support more than this cat. I really love what he's doing, and I hope he makes $1 gazillion doing it.
Yeah. The comment you made, then we'll jump into your halftime, is that the fact that there's so many kids interested, it's 2 hours, and they're there engaged in a live event and not looking down at their rectangle and playing games. I mean, you nailed it right there. If you haven't seen it, you have to go check it out. I think they do every single game Saturday night on ESPN or ESPN2. I think it is 7:00, whatever local time is. But anyway.
So Doug, this includes soccer. This includes all the global games. Their social media, I believe, is the most watched sports team on Instagram. I think that more people watch their social media and their clips than any other sports team in the world, because kids want to see what happened last night, what kind of crazy crap those guys were up to. So if you're on Instagram, go check out their. I can't say it enough. It's wonderful. So my topic, Bud, is a little bit different.
Maybe they'll find a
They'll find a what? You said maybe they'll find what?
No, maybe they'll find a podcast that can talk about. Maybe they could find a podcast that talks about Banana Ball and do a sponsorship.
Yeah, hey, they can come on ours. We'll have them anytime. So my topic's a little bit different. It's summertime, and I have a lot of friends and family that come to DC to visit. They take their kids to go visit the monuments. They take their kids to, come to the museums, and it's a great thing to do in the summer. It's free. There's practically nothing in DC you would take your family to that you have to pay for, like the Smithsonian. It's a great vacation for a family. And I am never home, buddy. I'm never home. I'm always in some Marriott with my finger up my nose watching Netflix. So I let people stay at my place. That's different. Someday when I move to Maine, Doug, and I have my house, I know people are going to want to come stay with me. I get it, okay? But I have very strict rules on how long you can come on a vacation and stay with me. And it's around 72 hours. After 3 days, I don't care where you're going, but you got to get the hell out of my house. I've had it, right? I'm happy you came. We've had a wonderful time. It's time to fucking go, right? So I'm thinking about making key cards like a hotel. So if you come to the front door and it's not working, hey, there's a hint. You stayed too long, right? It's different. If you've got someone staying with you because they need a place to stay, like I did with my friend Whit, I stayed at his house for damn near a year. That's different. Or so what I'm trying to get at, Doug, is should there be an understood number of days between friends on how long you can come visit? And then, second of all, are there different tiers? So, like for family, did they get extra days because you share DNA, or is pretty much everyone? It's been 3 days. Leave your key card, and I'll send you a bill for damages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's actually a good topic. And when you were saying that, I'm just picturing that Nick Saban. I don't know if it's
Oh
for
yeah,
Airbnb or
yeah, it's a
VRBO
great
or
commercial.
whatever, where he's like, it's not 3 o'clock, and they're like, it's 2:55. He's like, exactly. So I was thinking of that when you were making your statement. So I guess first of all, tiers. Yeah, family versus friends. Absolutely, there has to be a tier. But I think regardless, there just needs to be a definition and clear understanding of how long are you staying? Hey, come out for a long weekend, 72 hours. I love it. We had some friends in a couple of weeks ago. It was 72 hours, and we're like, hey, it's time to go. So different tiers for sure, but just set the right expectations. But I love your key card idea, right? Hey, the gig's up, man. You got to hit the road. So
Yeah,
yeah,
check.
different tiers, but just make sure the expectations are set. Then what's that?
Yeah, checkout time was noon. You got to go.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Time to hit the bricks. Late checkout cost you money. So yeah, crazy. Have you had a
Well,
recent experience, Pete? Is that why you brought this up?
no, I've just been thinking about it, right? Like, I love having my friends come visit me. I don't want to make it sound like I don't, but there comes a point where you got to go, right? I got a small apartment, and what if I want to watch reruns of Alf in my underwear? I don't need people around all the time. And when you have a job like ours, where it's 99% interacting with people, your alone time becomes pretty important to you. So I'm very. I had a friend of mine come to visit me once from England, and she ended up staying at our place for like 3 weeks. And after the first week, I was like, "How much longer do you plan on being here?" And she's like, "Well, I'm going to be traveling around New England, so maybe I can just check in." I'm like, I need a date. I need a date because there comes a point where you just got to get out. And she gave me a date, and she stuck to it, thank God. But yeah, I'm just too ornery like that, Doug. Too ornery.
Yeah, yeah,
So
cool.
that's halftime
All
from our
right.
friend
Well,
Cap
we'll
Logistics.
end with you, but then start with you on. Yeah,
Yeah. So halftime with Cap Logistics. We want to thank them for their never-ending support of the show. To learn more about Cap Logistics, check them out at www.caplogistics.com. So my second topic, Douglas, is about tunnels.
yep,
There's been a lot of great videos recently of the tunnel system that Mr. Musk and the Boring Company built in Las Vegas. And these are tunnels that go from very popular parts of the city underground. And you're able to get from place to place very quickly. There's not a lot of traffic there. And it is his opinion that the way that we deal with gridlock, aside from automated autonomous cars, is we start building roads underground. We build them underground, and we build them so that there are two sets of roads underground. There's ones for trucks and commercial traffic, and there's ones for people. And this will free up a ridiculous amount of real estate above ground to do other things with, namely use those existing roads to create a rail network, which makes a lot of sense to me. So are you in or are you out, Doug, on tunnels?
you know the answer to this one.
I do. Yeah, I
I
already know.
I I would think I think I think our audience would know. I think it's just madness. It's crazy. Like I don't. I, it does. Well, okay. So I gave a little bit of thought to this one, Pete. So first of all, the cost is going to be astronomical, right? Just astronomical. And then you got to figure out what's the return on investment, right? So huge costs. There's going to be regulatory hurdles. I don't want this going underneath my property. Who's in charge of what? It's uncharted territory. It's going to get regulated. and slowed down as far as moving forward. But the other thing, Pete, is that freight is not flexible, right? And the way I understand it is it's as far as Musk says, it's going to be like these small electric sleds that are kind of zipping around, right? So what happens when there's a piece of cargo that's out of gauge, ocean container? What's the weight? What's all this stuff? Like there's no flexibility with freight. I mean, you could get anything. You and I could tell stories all day long about crazy stuff that we've moved and stuff that we've encountered in our careers. And so, it's not widgets that it's just all over the place. And then the last thing I'll say, Pete, is that urgent freight, it's going to be so costly to build. You're going to have to charge a mint in order for um, uh, 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 customers to use it, right? So that means it's going to be high value items that are somewhat urgent, right? And I'm going to a story that when I was working in the freight forwarding industry, there was a customer that their ocean container was en route from Seattle to Denver. And we were tracking it. This is, got 10, 15 years ago. And there was some level of tracing at the time. And we're like, yeah, your train is kind of stopped in some place in central Wyoming. It should get here in a couple of days. And the customer's like, I don't care. Get my container off the train. And I'm like, it's literally in a field on a train. What are you talking about? You can't just drive out there and pull the box off the train. And they were adamant. They're like, it's not my problem. You got to get my container off that train. So I bring that point, like, what happens if it gets clogged? And you're like, I got a super important shipment and it's underground in the middle of Wyoming. What the hell's that about? Dig a hole and get it. So I don't know. I think we should just stay above ground, stop watching reruns of the Jetsons, and let's focus on what is built now and improve upon it versus creating something brand new.
Doug, can you just dare to dream a little bit? Can you give yourself an opportunity to think about, this next level of civilization? Must you bring it back to the worst case scenario?
No, no, I will. No, it's crazy. I think so. Pete, this is a kudos to you, and then I'll finish up with my topic. So we had some space discussion a couple of months ago. It may have even been last summer, to be honest with you, about space logistics, and I had the same general reaction to what I just did with the Boring Company. And you had this eloquent speech about the human passion and the exploratory need of humans and the whole Star Trek mantra and all that kind of stuff. And I played it for my kids, and I ended up getting yelled at by my own children because they say, "Why don't you have a vision like Pete? You're just trying to squish and squash everything." So maybe I got it all wrong, Pete, but I just think it's unnecessary.
Doug, don't ever change. If you did, this show would suck. We would just sit here and agree about everything, and nobody wants to watch that.
That's right. That's right. All right, man. I'm gonna wind this thing up, and it's about parcel delivery and kind of final mile, where all these regional parcel carriers that consolidate on the last mile, right? Deliver was one that recently went out of business. And there's a whole bunch of them that you've never heard of that says, hey, we got this great network that we can tap into. And once you get it to us, we're in Denver, Colorado, and we can make the final deliveries cheaper than FedEx or UPS or Amazon. And conceptually, it was great because just the explosion of e-commerce continues. It will continue regardless of the de minimis rule. And there were so many of these companies that were popping up, right? And there was VC money that was chasing it, just like it was post COVID, right? This is the cool new thing. And the market is just, it's saturated right now. It's too fragmented. There's too many players, and there's just a limited demand. And then you got the big three, FedEx, UPS, and Amazon, that are coming in and basically just turning a little bit of a lever to pull their rates down. And so I think you're going to see a lot of companies going out of business. You may not even hear about them because they're so small and regional, but that industry is saturated and the time has come and gone. There will probably be a few that will stand after it's all said and done, but these regional final mile deliveries or first mile pickups, I think you're going to see a lot of those type of companies going out of business. We're already starting to see quite a few.
Doug, I think that there are three companies you just mentioned, and maybe a couple more like DHL, right? They're really good at this. You made the comment one time that you imagine there's a room of guys with like adding machines and visors that just, what can we do to shave a tenth of a penny off of this? And then they go and they execute that idea. And as much as I love innovation, I was just talking about innovation, but as much as I love innovation in our space, sometimes you just have to give credit to the old guard for doing something super, super well. And then having the resources and the money and the people to continually make it better so that it's hard for you to overcome that. And if they haven't thought about this disruption that's better for the industry, I'm surprised. I would imagine that they would have thought about it first and tried it first. So whenever it comes to final mile and whenever it comes to small package, whenever I hear about some great new idea, the first thing I want to say to them is, did you call the small package folks up and ask if they've thought of this before and why they did or didn't do it? Because there's probably a really compelling reason. I think I would invest 15 minutes on the phone to see whether or not they're doing it. Because if you've got a great idea, they're going to buy you. And if you don't have a good idea, they're going to bleed you for all the cash you got until everyone else realizes it wasn't a good one. So this is one place where I give the small package companies a ton of credit. They know what they're doing. And eventually everybody else ends up learning very quickly they're a pretender because of that.
Very well stated. I have no other comments to add to that topic.
Look at us agreeing. Well, that's going to do it for the show this week. Doug and I are going to end on a positive note of agreement. And, we're looking forward to everyone being on next week. Please do subscribe. Do share it with your friends. I'm always pleasantly delighted with all of you telling me that you watch the show. Those of you that were very happy that Keenan was on last week, I'm not happy with you. We need to limit his exposure to the fan base. We don't need him. We don't need him taking over for Doug and I anytime soon. But thank you to Cap Logistics for all they do to support us. Thanks to all of you for listening. And please do subscribe on whatever platform you watch or listen. And if it's happening in Global Trade next week, we'll be talking about it on Global Trade this week. Thanks, Doug.
Okay, Pete. Take care. Thanks, everybody.